The third lens that we use is to look at the role that a buyer might play in the buying process. And the four roles that we look at, which we're not saying are the only roles, but these are common roles that we see, are gatekeeper, anti-sponsor, sponsor, and coach. So a gatekeeper would be somebody that perhaps prevents you from getting access to someone that you want to get access to. I guess the classic example historically of that person would have been a personal assistant or secretary to somebody more senior. And again, the point here is that you need to recognize that person's role and then think about, well, how do we include them in the process and how do we get them onto our side? Anti-sponsors would often be people perhaps who, for whatever reason, don't like you, don't like your organization, or don't like your product. They could be previous employees of your company who left under less than great circumstances. They could be someone that used to work for one of your competitors and therefore favors your competitor. But obviously it's important to know who these people are so that you can then think, well, how could we potentially win them over to our side? Or if we think that's not possible, how can we try to reduce their influence on the buying process and on the decision? The third one that we look at is a sponsor. So clearly that's somebody who favors you, as the name suggests. And what you're trying to do with sponsors is try to think about, well, how can we get those sponsors to either A, openly support us, or B, influence other people. But the most important of all is the fourth category, the coach. So a coach is someone who will actively work with you to give you information, to help you position what your own offering, and essentially to help you to win. And coaches are really like gold. And indeed, we have clients where if they're working on a series of bids, they will only bid for those pieces of work where they have a coach in place. Because they found that in cases where they have a coach in place, they win 90% plus of the time, and where they don't have a coach in place, they win less than 20% of the time. So they decided that with those numbers, it made sense actually to no bid typically on jobs where they don't have a coach in place. And I have to say, even from our own personal experience, I can think of two specific projects where we actually lost the original bid, but then the coach was able to turn it around in our favor and get us the work. So coaches really are like gold.